My name is Meriwether Asterios. I go by Maris for short, and I'm female to male transgender, and I'm almost 33 years old. When I transitioned, my living situation was I just moved to Oklahoma from Michigan. I was just separated from my then spouse, and I was 30, so around 30 years old, and I just moved in with Lillian, and we had just met after we'd met off the internet on World of Warcraft. I first met my now stepchildren. I was presenting as female, but I had always kind of known deep down that I always felt like a guy on the inside, but it wasn't something I ever talked about with anybody because, number one, I thought it was a little crazy. I never really known any transgender people, or the whole transgender thing wasn't on my radar at all. But I just sort of thought that it was something that just could never be, so why even talk about it? It was impossible. So what made me decide to transition was, well, I talked to Lillian about it, and it was Halloween, and I decided to cross-dress for Halloween, and she said it was the first time that she had ever seen me happy, was when I was cross-dressing. I had a lot of fears when I decided to transition, because it seemed like a selfish choice, because there were kids involved, and they had known me as a woman, and I didn't want it to affect them. I didn't want to confuse them. I didn't want them to get made fun of. So we talked to the kids about it, pretty openly, and they were all really supportive. So they were kind of like my first and then kind of only support, like my cheerleaders. And it was Chloe, the 11-year-old, well, she was younger than like 9, that helped me pick my name. And Maris was a character in the book that Lily and I had written, and she thought there was a lot of similarities between me and that character. So I kind of realized at the time, after talking to Chloe, a 9-year-old kid, that it was a weird self-insert of but a self-insert in a way it was who I wanted to be on the inside, and who I really was, and it was just the kid's insightfulness that picked up on that. And so I had to pick that name, because it was actually me that I had been writing about all along. The kids reacted to me being trans really openly. They just didn't seem to care. They didn't care. I explained it to them, and it wasn't confusing for them at all. In fact, they seemed to understand it better than any adults do. And that was really surprising. They just was like, well, I'm a girl on the outside, but I feel like a boy on the inside, and there just wasn't very much confusion at all. They were like, oh, okay. And they were just like, and as far as pronouns, it was actually the kids that got it, right first, like consistently. So, it was much easier with kids than it was adults. How I felt stepping into the role of the father, I guess it wasn't the gender role part that was hard. It was more stepping into the role of stepfather that was hard, but that really had nothing to do with gender. I've been always afraid of overstepping as a step-parent, which I guess has more to do with stepping into the role of a step-parent than a father. I don't really behave much differently as a male presence than I was as a female presence. I'm just there as a very steady presence in their life. I always am very calm around them, even when there's stressful situations. I'm always there as a good disciplinary person, but never overbearing. I don't know if that really has much to do with a father role than as a parent role. I guess the dynamic in our family is that we don't really have set gender roles. Like, I do the dishes and the laundry, but I'm also the disciplinary thing. So I guess it's kind of a hard thing to answer. I just act as a parent, not as a dad. Well, what the children mean to me, they are my family, and kind of they're only them and Lillian and Maddie, and Lillian's aunt and her dad are that's really the only family I have, so they kind of mean the world to me. So, I mean, especially since they were the first people to be openly accepting about me being trans. I mean, that just says it right there. They don't care about that kind of stuff. I don't really think that transitioning changed my relationship with the children, except that it made me closer to them and them to me. The advice that I would give to coming out to your kids is advice that I would give about any personal situation is just be really, really honest and really open. And I mean, like, honest to the point where it hurts, because you're never going to solve a problem unless you're honest about it. I appreciate you watching this video, and hopefully it's helped some people, and I hope you subscribe, and we'll stay in touch.